everybody, we're back. It's morning and our poulish is ready. So here, let me tell you what I've got here. I've got salt, flour and yeast, water, and the poulish. So this is all going to come together now. So first I want to show you the poulish. This is what it looks like first thing in the morning. It's nice and bubbly, and you want to make sure that it's nice and bubbly but doesn't actually collapse in the middle. That means your yeast has gone too far. So clean hands. So I'm going to mix this poulish in with 1.5 cups of warm water. The water is at 86 degrees. And basically I want to make sure I get all of this that I can into the bowl. I'm going to set my timer for 1 minute. And all I'm doing is just breaking this up by hand. Basically mixing the poulish in with the water. I just squirted my cameraman. So basically all you're doing is basically just kind of making this sort of motion, breaking up the poulish. And we have to do this for a minute. And basically what this is doing is the poulish overnight, the yeast and the flour and the water began to make a bond, and we're kind of breaking it back down again. Because ciabatta is a really wet dough. And you're going to see that as we go along. But the step we're going to take next, in less than a minute, is to add in the flour, yeast, and the salt mixture into this. And then we're actually going to knead that by hand. There's still a few chunks in here. We're going to knead that by hand for 4 minutes, and what that does is create the gluten structure. There we go. Alrighty, so flour and yeast. And then the salt just goes right on top. And then I'm going to spend the next 4 minutes mixing this up. It gets very, very messy, and that's okay. Because basically this is a lot of flour for not too much water, but that's exactly what you want in order for your ciabatta to actually turn into a bread later on. Because when we get done, we still have 1.5 cups of water, also at the 86 degrees, that we're going to be adding in to this mixture. So basically, you know, kind of think of it like the way a washing machine agitates. You're basically wanting to mix the flour and the yeast and the water and the salt all together. And as you can see, it's very gloopy, and that's exactly what you want. That's the gluten getting the chemical bonds, really, of the gluten coming together, which is what you want at this stage, because you'll be amazed what this dough looks like when I'm done adding another almost 1/4 cup of water to this mixture. So you have to do this for 4 minutes. And I don't have anything else to say right now as I do this for 4 minutes. Now 3 minutes. As you can see, it's really nice. It's gloopy. You know, it almost holds together as a ball. And that's perfect. That's exactly what you want. When we get ready to add this extra water, it's called double hydration. When we add this extra water in, we're going to add it slowly, because basically you don't want to overwhelm the dough. So basically in thirds, we're going to add this little over 1/4 cup of water to it. And you'll see as we get ready to do that, that basically it's like you're going to add a little bit of water, mix it in thoroughly so that the dough mixture absorbs the water completely. And then do it again. And then do it one more time. And then the ciabatta dough, when it's completely hydrated, actually only rests for about 30 minutes. And then we take it out and let it rest on the counter for another 30 minutes. And this whole recipe, of course, is on Sourdough Recipe. You'll find it there. This is one of my favorite breads. and something that's pretty expensive to buy, and as you can see, fairly simple to make. So we just have a minute left of this, and my hands are tired. I don't know about yours. As you can see, it's really a beautiful dough. And you want to use a nice big bowl, because once you start adding more water in and start splashing around, it gets a little messy if you don't have a big enough bowl. And I'll be able to clean my fingers in a couple of minutes here. Alrighty. Okay, the timer's going to go off in just a sec. And now I don't need the timer anymore, but here's my water. Like I said, it's actually a 1/4 cup plus 2 tablespoons of water. And as you can see, I'm just going to pour a little bit in. And then kind of using that same sort of motion that I used to break up the poolish, just kind of a, grasping sort of a motion. I'm going through and just kind of adding in the liquid, and I want to make sure that it gets completely absorbed by the flour. And because ciabatta is such a wet bread, that's why it gets that distinctive kind of flat sort of look. It supposedly is like Grandpa's slippers. It's supposedly where ciabatta got its name in Italian. Alright, so that's pretty well mixed. As you can see, you don't see any gloopiness. So here we go with another third. And when you first add the water, of course, you have to be careful you don't squirt everywhere and get basically wet bread dough all over your kitchen. One of the things I love about ciabatta is that you do actually do it by hand. That you don't have your KitchenAid over there doing all the work. It's old school bread making at its finest. You get to really feel the chemical bonds happening. It's nice. And there we go again. It's all absorbed. But look at the consistency. Remember what it was like a few minutes ago when we were mixing for 4 minutes? And look at it now. The last of my water's in. And you can see basically just working it in, watching it absorb the liquid. Bread making is really all about chemistry. You need the right combination of the salt to help the yeast absorb the water. You need the gluten structure, because otherwise your bread never becomes bread. And you need this agitation to help those chemical bonds break down and reform. Alrighty, there you have it, people. That is ciabatta dough when it's ready for its first rise. It's hard to believe that this is going to turn into bread you can actually eat, not with a spoon. So, just scraping as much of the excess off my hands as I can. I'm just going to take this plastic wrap right here, cover my bowl, and let it sit for 30 minutes, and that's it. We'll be back.